Major League Baseball has a new all-time batting average leader, and it's Josh Gibson from the Negro Leagues. Unbelievable story. We're going to talk all about it. But first, we're sorry. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back. It's the Deferred Collusion Podcast. It's me, Jesse Rowe, joined by my good friend, Branden Bullinger. Branden, how are you, my friend? Stone Cold Steve Brando. What's up? Is that a Stone
Oh
Cold?
man, you know it is, bro.
Yeah.
That's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm chugging down here with a little Steve Weiser.
Yeah. And I like the Japan jersey. Is that a Yomiuri Giants jersey?
Oh, brother, that's Team Japan
Oh,
from the
Team
World
Japan. Okay.
Baseball Classic. And
Beautiful.
I got my boy Otani on my back, dude.
Yeah.
Just like he's putting the Dodgers on his back. I believe he hit his 14th home run of the year tonight.
Yeah.
Against those lowly Mets. Oh, man, lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. But yes, Jesse, like you were saying, took a little bit of a hiatus. Not planned, by the way, just a little bit under the weather. You might hear me with a little bit of the sniffle still.
Yeah.
But we're back, better than ever. So much fun to talk about.
You know what, though?
Is getting a little some people have some feelings about some new stat leaders, by the way. And
Yeah.
why don't you lead us into that, Jess?
We will. I just do want to give you some credit. It shows your dedication to the podcast that you are here right now. It's inspiring. It's truly inspiring. You've got a kid, you've got a newborn, you got drywall up your nose, you're sick. You're just a G, brother. You're a man.
Oh, man.
You're a man's man. Yeah.
These schools aren't going to build themselves, and you know what? We're out here enjoying baseball, so we're blessed, fortunate to be able to get to talk with you again.
Yeah. So today was a big day, kind of a historic day for baseball, and probably a precedent-setting day. I would say is pretty safe to point out. Josh Gibson, who's the Negro League batting champion of all time, the highest batting average in the history of the Negro Leagues, batting 373, I believe it was. I'm sorry, I had the stat up here. 372. He overtakes Ty Cobb as the all-time batting average leader because Negro League statistics were officially included in MLB's history books as of today. So it's official. And not only is he the batting average leader, he's also the OPS leader, overtaking one George Herman Ruth. Babe Ruth is no longer the all-time OPS leader, so he's no longer the GOAT.
Who is she?
Some people, right? Some people are
some
saying
lady, Baby Ruth.
Oh, by the way, I was on vacation up in Palm Springs, staying at this lovely little hotel.
How was the weather?
It was great. It was like low 90s. It wasn't too hot. It was really nice. But at the hotel, there was a outdoor screening of The Sandlot, and it was awesome. So we got a chance.
That's summer, right? That officially kicks off summer, right?
I'm surprised that I wasn't like sending you like photos from it. I was sitting outside watching The Sandlot, my dog, my girl, Brewski, my friends. It was lovely. It was really nice.
American dream, dude.
Yeah, it really is when you're especially on Memorial Day weekend,
Someone's walking around with nothing, brother, because you got it all.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so I thought it was obviously there are some people who are not happy about this, they feel like this is like woke culture infiltrating America's pastime, that it's, I don't know what they really think, but they do feel like a piece of American history is being taken away from them in some regard. Like the conservationists, I don't know what you would call them. What would you call them? The traditionalists, I guess. They just want the sport to remain pure in some way. And I thought it was just an incredible precedent to set by the league and to say, hey, like Jackie Robinson was one guy. He came in and he was immediately the Rookie of the Year and league MVP and won World Series, and he was just one guy.
Yeah.
What would have happened with all these other guys that were in another league? Would Josh Gibson have hit 372? There's a chance he wasn't going to hit 372. There's a chance that Ty Cobb would have had a better batting average. but I just don't think that it matters. And I think that Ty Cobb is still going to be known as one of the best hitters of all time, regardless. And I still think Babe Ruth is going to be considered the GOAT regardless. I think that it's just a great until Shohei Ohtani wins his first World Series. And then he's no longer the GOAT. But I think that you still have you can accomplish two things at once. And I still think it's a great precedent to set.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I don't know. You were asking what's the word for people that want to keep this stat like pure, right? Like, I don't know. It starts sounding a little Aryan brotherhoody, maybe. When you
Well,
start talking about
yeah.
purity, brother.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I don't care. I like you said, Jackie was one guy. Look at the impact. It's undeniable, right?
Yeah.
So if you just ask the question, well, why weren't any of these other guys? Why wasn't Josh Gibbs making a name for himself or an impact for a city? It's like, oh yeah, it's this little just silly laws we had of Jim Crow and just segregation at large, and just it's a reminder of where we've come, right? Like how far we've come, and it's easy to take shots at what's wrong with everything these days. We all got access to the internet. We can shout it from the rooftops, but in moments like this, I think it's cool to take a moment and acknowledge these guys and acknowledge, hey, the MLB for doing something right. I don't always got to talk shit about your boy Manfred, but this is cool.
Well, let's just say this. If you're one of the people who has a problem with putting them in the history books, would you not? Is it hard to say? Is it wrong of me to say that there's a chance you'd be one of the people that would have had a problem with putting them in the league to begin with? And that's where I think that the issue is. I'm not trying to say that everybody who has a problem with it is one of those people.
I don't
I'm
know,
just,
dude. I think you said that.
yeah, it might have.
I know
But
you're
no,
not. You're not. But I get what you're saying, and it's an easy stretch to make, right?
yeah.
But like, obviously, we're not saying you're racist if you think these stats that being added are silly or whatever. I've heard people say, bring up the Ichiro debate. Well,
That's where I wanted to go. Yeah, go
yeah.
for it.
Do you bring in his at bats, or or what about you Darvish's wins? He just passed 200 career wins. Do we call that 200 career MLB wins now?
Or Sadaharu O's 868 homers, whatever it is. Sorry, I have it right here. Sadaharu O, Japanese league, 868 home runs. Would he be the home run leader? My answer to that, from Japan, obviously. Ichiro, I do think, is a unique case because he's probably one of the best hitters ever. Like, I could say, hey, like, maybe we make him the all-time hits leader with an asterisk. But Sadaharu O, I don't think you could make him the all-time home runs leader. I just don't know if you could. It would have to be a special exemption for Ichiro. The difference is that we're talking about American pastime, and baseball is an American sport, and this league took place in America when these players were simply not allowed to play with the white players, and that's why they deserve to be in there, because they weren't even given a chance. And it's like the Japanese league wasn't even like around at the time that we're talking about, or if it was, it wasn't in the capacity that it was the Negro Leagues. These guys were literally major league quality players that weren't allowed to.
Well, and I would even take that a step further, Jesse. Not just they were Americans that were.
That's it. That's what this is. They are Americans, and baseball is an American sport, and it's like that's why they can go in and the Japanese players can't. That's what this is. It has nothing to do with like, oh well, if you're gonna,
I agree.
It's like when people talk about like, oh, if I say no, I was gonna make a never mind. I was gonna go down you say you identify as a woman. Now you're gonna identify as a cat now too? Can I identify as a walnut? It's people who make that argument. I'm not going to go there.
And some people do. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine if that's what you're into. But you get what I'm saying.
So, no, I do. I appreciate the sentiment very, very clearly.
Yeah.
I feel like people with the legitimacy that there is to, maybe discuss Ichiro, I think he is used as kind of this launch pad to absurdity to kind of, you know, sillify this whole thing and kind of discredit it. But I don't know. I think time will show that it'll just help bring up more vision to players that, unfortunately in their generation didn't get this kind of notoriety, but will live on in sports history. And I think that's pretty damn cool.
Brandon, you just cut a reel right there. That was beautiful. Well done. That was incredible.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah, brother. Well said. Let's end it there because that was I couldn't really say it any better myself. There's really nothing more All-American than what we just discussed. There's nothing more All-American in baseball than bad umpires. Am I right?
Ooh,
bad umpires.
Talk to me about it.
That's where to me, as a guy that just loves the game of baseball, as I just grew up on it, bad umpires kind of make the game of baseball a little bit. Even though we want them gone, they still just are kind of they just are part of the game. And one of the best bad umpires of all time, arguably the GOAT of bad umpires, I would say.
Arguably the GOAT.
Yeah, has just retired. Angel Hernandez is officially no longer a Major League Baseball umpire. We did it, Joe. I got that. I sent that meme out a few times when in some group chats. We did it, Joe. MLB fans rejoiced over it, and I was a little sad about it because I am going to miss some of the Angel Hernandez moments. We're not going to relive all of them. It's just there's too many. But before we sort of get into it, I'll just give a brief little recap of it. Angel Hernandez negotiated a settlement with Major League Baseball, an undisclosed amount of money. They'd been working on it for months. He gave a statement announcing his retirement, and I'm going to read it really quick. He says, wait, hold on. I have it right here. Okay, here it is. Starting with my first Major League game in 1991, I have had the very good experience of living out my childhood dream of umpiring in the major leagues. There is nothing better than working in a profession that you enjoy. I treasured the camaraderie of my colleagues and the friendships I've made along the way, including our locker room attendants in all the various cities. I have decided that I want to spend more time with my family. Needless to say, there have been many positive changes in the game of baseball since I first entered the profession. This includes the expansion and promotion of minorities. I am proud that I was able to be an active participant in that goal while being a major league umpire. I thought that was a nice little statement. Well,
Yeah.
Interesting little sentence at the end because he mentioned the expansion of minorities, promotion of minorities, because he famously filed a lawsuit against Major League Baseball back in 2017 because he wasn't allowed to umpire the World Series, or he wasn't chosen as one of the umpires for the World Series. And he sued Major League Baseball, claiming it was because of his race, because he's Hispanic. That lawsuit was thrown out. It was found frivolous by the courts, but interesting that he said that. I do think that plays a part in why baseball wanted him out, and not just because he is a difficult umpire to justify to the fan base. Just before I ramble on too much about this guy, what are your thoughts on Angel Hernandez retiring? Do you have a favorite moment? Do you care? Are you happy? Are you sad? Give me your thoughts.
I mean, who doesn't like a good bad guy to talk shit about, right? What's the favorite part of any job? Having like a break, having lunch, getting off work and having a beer, whatever, with your coworkers and talking shit about the boss. It's the best. Blow off some steam. Angel is one of the best. He gave you so much ammo. I don't know. And what's funny is I can just envision so many bad balls and strike calls, but it is tough. I can't think of any like super notable like Dodger ejections. I'm a Dodger guy.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any off the top of my head with Angel. And I feel like I can't, like, it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't pull one out. But we will miss you. I feel like the league is getting a little quieter with the, the moseying on the old dusty trail of our Joe Wests and now Angel Hernandez, these larger than life bad guys, kind of. Well, I don't know, personality is the better term, but we'll miss you. But yeah, I kind of feel like he's getting a little bit of a bad rap, a little bit of pushed out. I think Manfred, I think he carries a grudge, dude. Don't believe me? Ask Trevor Bauer. I don't
Yeah.
know. How would you like to go down to Mexico and watch that? Angel Hernandez ump a game that Trevor Bauer's throwing. Love to
Yeah,
see that dust up just for old time's sake.
dude.
Call it the AEW of baseball.
He's kind of is the little bit of the Trevor Bauer of umpires. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not
Love that guy.
saying that I like think Bauer should be in the league or anything like that. I actually could care less. I hope Bauer goes away. I don't want to hear the name ever again. I don't care. But do I think that it's possible he got screwed? Yeah, sure. I think it's possible he got screwed a little bit.
Totally.
But I also think that if you draw, did you just do a little? That's funny. If you draw attention to yourself in ways that are unnecessary, you're gonna draw bad attention to yourself, and you're gonna get the wrong attention for the wrong things. I think that was the problem that Angel Hernandez had. Joe West was the same problem, which is what I think MLB wants. If they're not going to have robo umps, they want their umpires to not be recognizable at all because they don't want the umpires to be talked about.
Yeah.
If you know the name of your umpire, that's not a good thing because that means something probably went wrong. You want it so that because nobody ever talks about what a good job an umpire does. I mean,
and just sidebar, you are speaking as a fan perspective.
right?
We should never know the umpire's name because
We
it should be a non-factor.
Yeah, because we only hear their names when they make a bad call.
Of course they should.
Right. We don't get we jokingly, ironically, will get like hype tapes of umpires or hype videos of an umpire making good calls, right? Yeah, but like
we're not gonna. Who doesn't love a good strike three?
Yeah.
When's the last time you have one of those clickers in your hand? Do you think they still use the same one as like?
I wish. Oh, I want one. I miss those days, man. I miss those days.
Those are the original fidget spinners, dude. The old umpire balls and strikes.
You know what? Maybe that's what went wrong. Umpire, that was like a stress reliever for those umpires. They had something to like to fiddle on. They've got the pressure of the whole crowd on them. You know what I mean? They need something to relieve the stress. But
what's your favorite era of umpire like defense mechanism? Do you like the kind of catcher's mask setup with the like hockey style helmet? Do you like the two-piece helmet? Do you like when they had the old shield, they would put their head up on it?
I love when they have the giant chest protector, like the ones that like the padding is like this thick. It looks like their chest is like sticking out that far. Those ones. I like those.
Those are tight.
It looked so horrible, but that's why you liked it.
I always appreciated the full suit. Like,
I like that too. Angel wore a full suit at times.
He's a big suit guy.
Yeah. To get back to him, I do think that he's getting scapegoated a little bit. Joe apparently he says that Joe Torre hated him from his time at the Yankees. He wasn't actually even in what's his name? Baseball Doesn't Exist. The guy from Baseball's Dead podcast. He did a video on this. Angel Hernandez was not in the bottom 20% of any metric that we have to measure the quality of work done by an umpire. So he was far away from being the worst one.
Yeah. Do you think that's like you attract more flies with honey than vinegar type deal? Like
exactly what it is.
It kind of was like more sour.
He just attracted attention to himself too much. That's all it was.
Yeah.
He made bad calls and bad moments.
Bad calls though too.
Right.
But again, I can't. What am I talking about? I can't name one off the top of my head.
I could name a few. He did a check swing on Bryce Harper, who he clearly didn't like, where it was like Bryce didn't even come close to swinging. He made a few, like one call in the World Baseball Classic on a pitch that was like 3 feet out of the strike zone, just like some really bad ones. But but the problem I think that he had was that like he didn't make a ton of bad calls. He just made them in moments where he was going to be the story, and
Ah,
that's the issue with Angel. It's always been the issue with Angel. He liked to insert himself in the game. He wanted attention, and it just
yeah.
umpires. He signed a fucking autograph. He autographed a baseball as he's leaving the field for some kids, which is cool, but he clearly
Is
liked
it?
it. He liked it. He wanted to sign that ball. He knew who he was. He was playing into it.
Well, I guess you know what? If you got somebody calling out your name, that's cool. It's for a kid, but like, I don't know. I think it's more weird that they're like grown men that go out and like try their best to catch home run balls and foul balls and like take them from kids. Like, I think that's even more weird
Dude.
than an umpire signing a ball. But I digress.
Who's that guy that goes to every game and like catches home run balls? What's his name?
I forget his name off the top, but I don't even want to give him a shout out.
I'm
He's a
glad I forgot his name. That dude's
dork,
weird.
dude.
I think,
Dork.
yeah, Spectrumy. Yeah. But yeah, either way, Angel, I'm glad that we're not going to have to talk about you in any big game anymore. But I don't think this is the end of big calls being blown and big moments. I think that like that's just part of baseball. I do feel a little
Exactly.
bad.
I agree. I think it's just kind of part of the game. And like to be honest, dude, and hear me out. Here's the little deferred collusion on it, dude. Maybe this is just an inside job because we all know robo umps are coming.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have the little rectangle on the TV screen, would we really be noticing a difference at
No,
all?
that's exactly what baseball doesn't exist was saying is that he like how hard it is to actually tell if you watch baseball 20 years ago without that, you wouldn't even notice how bad how bad some of these calls are, and that the
I
calls
did.
really actually aren't that bad. It went to begin with. Quit fidgeting with your fucking toy,
I
bro.
just noticed it started following me, dude. It wasn't
Yeah.
following me earlier, but I'm very excited. That's super cool. Thank you,
Um,
RoboCam.
but yeah, so either way, yeah, it's part of the game. We're gonna have to live with it until the robot umpires are here. So yeah, Angel Hernandez, you were terrible, but you also weren't the worst. Let's just say that. Fair?
Salute to not being the absolute worst.
Hey, dude, nobody wants to be called the worst. And if you're
Yeah.
wrongfully labeled the worst, it's not cool, man. Um, the worst is injuries. It's been a bad injury season, obviously.
Uh,
One of the worst injuries. The no team in terms of contending teams has taken a bigger hit than the Atlanta Braves. They lost Spencer Strider, obviously, earlier this year to Tommy John or whatever. I don't know if it's Tommy John or what he's doing. He's getting elbow reconstructive surgery. But Ronald Acuna Jr. Tore his ACL again, the same knee that he blew out in 2021. And
was it
2020,
the no? It's a different knee. It's a different one.
was it?
Yeah, it's the other knee.
Is it?
Fact check me, brother.
Ronald Acuna knee. Same. Hold on, I'm gonna look up same knee. Oh, you're right. So it was the left knee, same injury to the right knee. Okay,
Oh,
you're right. I'm spreading fake news, bro. So he tore his left ACL. So now it's 2 torn ACLs on both knees. That is, ooh.
don't forget to like and subscribe. That is the kind of dedication to true journalism.
Yeah.
Deferred collusion. Don't look at the laundry that I haven't put away yet.
You want to know what the conspiracy is?
Tell me, papas.
That it was this is so stupid. I was gonna say the dumbest thing ever. Move on, bro. Move on.
Yikes, dude.
Yeah,
Embarrassing.
yikes. You don't even want to know. It was like just such a bad joke. I don't even want to say it because it's just going to be a waste of the audience's
You got to
time.
say it now.
The conspiracy is that it's the same knee. I was trying to come up with a joke on the spot and I just lost it in the middle of saying it. And I was like, it was so bad. I just was
Wow.
that was terrible.
You're a
Um,
boomer, dude. We lost you, dude. You're off
but
the plot.
yeah, we were on this though. Last episode we were
Just
talking about.
Mitch McConnell to me right there, dude.
I really did. I know. I literally spaced out mid sentence. Fuck.
Shouts out, Mitch. Dude, I hope you're doing good, brother.
Yeah, I don't know if I can come back from that one. But you were on this last week. We were watching him Acuna getting picked off. I think it was 3 straight times in 2 days.
Yeah,
He got,
it was a couple weeks ago, but yeah, he had gotten picked off like it was what was it, 3 times in 2 days. And I mentioned something that in the series against the Dodgers
yeah,
that he had almost the exact same play that this non-contact injury occurred on, but trying to make a move back to the bag, and it just looked like something kind of buckled. And man, you hate to see it, especially with one of the premier talents in the world. And you've already heard it. You've already heard it from everybody else and all their takes. But is this just kind of too much wear on the tires? Is the tread getting down? Is he going to have to kind of, you know, dull one of his, facets of his game to be able to continue to hit 40 home runs? Or, is he going to have to give up on the running to be able to play high caliber defense? It's just a bummer because we only get to see these guys in this super prime for so long. And after last season, it was like, man, well, how many years are we going to be able to see Ronald do something no one's ever done before? This is a guy who just looks like he's finally putting it all together. And that's not to say he wasn't spectacular before, but you know, is this all just part of the highlight reel to the Braves 2024 championship, video? Like,
I mean, it
I
was
mean,
last time.
we've heard this song before,
Yeah,
no disrespect. And I know I hate it. It's tacky to say that, but it does also make me kind of, I don't want to say excited, but I just love baseball and the parody of it all. Who do you think they're going to pick up to fill up this void of Ronald Acuna? And can you fill it?
well, they're lucky Chris Sale has been as good as he has been this year after losing Strider. But man, that offense hasn't been as good as it was last year. Like Matt Olson hasn't been as good as he was last year. I will say this. Marcell Ozuna has really had an incredible year so far. And that's been a
That's
huge
Marcell Ozuna from the Braves.
right from the Braves, right? He'll tell you himself. And Acuna was not exactly playing great before this happened. He was good, but he wasn't like MVP Ronald Acuna. It sucks, obviously. I think that it's possible that playing 2 years on a knee reconstructed, maybe favoring the other leg, the better leg, that could have an impact, especially when you're running that much. And I was shocked last year. I remember saying this. I get that it's awesome that he can steal 70 bases and hit 40 homers, but you're doing this with a guy that tore his ACL 2 years ago. It kind of felt a little like belligerent, a little flagrantly just disregarding. You didn't need to steal those bases to win 100 games. You were still going to be really good. I don't know. I questioned the way the Braves handled him last season in that chase for a 40-70 year. Was it worth it? Him playing winter ball? Who knows? Who knows how much any of this, what impact this has? We don't know. We're not doctors. We have no idea. I just know it sucks. But I do think if we're talking, you mentioned you're excited because of the prospect of like the parity sort of being opened up a little bit. The Phillies look like they're kind of a lock to win that division now, the way that they're playing. And that's not to say the Braves can't go on a run, but they have to make something big happen. Like, who's going to be this year's Eddie Rosario? Who's out there? Because the Dodgers have to make that move too, because they were struggling before they faced the Mets. They faced the Mets at the right time, and they got right. The Braves, we don't know. Remains to be seen. I just hope that Acuna comes back, 80% of what he was in terms of speed, and then I'll feel better about it. But
I'll feel better about it too. And I don't know. I also just want to throw right out there before we move on to the Braves. I think they're going to sign Bo Bichette as one of their impact bats to fill that void. That's my early pick. But
who's your
we'll see what
shortstop?
happens. The younger
Oh,
guy?
Arcia. Yeah.
Orlando Arcia.
Yeah. Bo Bichette makes a lot of sense for the Braves. I saw Bleacher Report put out a fucking stupid hypothetical trade for the Dodgers to trade for him because the Dodgers could use Bo Bichette too.
Yeah, but
But yeah, it's stupid trade. Anyways,
I don't think he's an impact enough of a bat for that lineup, you know?
I think he's one of the more overrated players in baseball. I love Bo Bichette.
Oh, that's a take.
I love Bo Bichette. I think he's awesome, but I just don't think that you can be an impact player in modern day baseball if you don't walk. Like he's one bad like he could go from being Bo Bichette to Javi Baez. Like if he starts to struggle making contact, once his bat speed slows down, he could be that guy. Like
that's a comp.
Yeah, you need to take pitches, man. You need to be patient. He just swings at everything. And if you're not hitting homers when you're doing that and just hitting for average, it's like you're good, but you're not like you put a cap on how good you can really be. You know, that's why Bryce Harper, that's why like Kyle Schwarber and Max Muncy have so much value, because even if they hit 200, they get on base and they hit 35 homers, and it's just
they're 800 OPS.
Exactly. They're always going to be that guy, even when they struggle, you know? So that's where I think Bo Bichette has issues, because if you're just hitting a bunch of singles, there's a cap on how productive you can be. We'll see what happens. Dodgers, let's do this really quick. They were really struggling, man. They got swept by the Reds. They were looking like dog shit. It was looking pretty rough.
And they lost 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks leading up to that as well.
They were having trouble scoring runs. Then they were down 2-0 to the Mets in the 8th inning in game 1 of a doubleheader yesterday, or I guess this would be Tuesday, depending on when you're seeing this. And they found a way, and they somehow got a couple of runs in the final innings, and then they ended up blowing it open in extra innings. They got right in a hurry against the Mets, who are an absolute dumpster fire. We could talk about them a little bit, but they've lost like something like 20 of their last 28 games. It's just something terrible.
Ooh.
But yeah. Are you worried at all about the Dodgers and their offense? What do you think that they need to do? What do you think that the biggest issues that they have right now? Because I have some thoughts.
Worried, no. It's tough to be worried about any lineup that has arguably the 3 best hitters in baseball, with Mookie, Freddie, and obviously the great Showtime Ohtani, baby. But you know, it kind of seemed like none of the pieces were kind of going all at once, and you would see these innings where they could explode for a few but maybe not come back, or in tight games maybe not get that big hit. But what can you say? Freddie Freeman, you know, gets right in the Big Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, just big at bats, whether it's the first pitch, working a long count, working a walk. Kind of did it all this series, all while playing just premier first base. I love seeing him in Dodger blue. I still just kind of trip out he's not on the Braves. It's insane, but love him in LA. It was nice to see Chris Taylor get his first extra base hit of the season. And get a little sack bunt. He got on. Ottavino didn't make the play.
That was a pretty bad bunt, by the way. It was a pretty bad squeeze bunt, but it worked.
Pretty bad, like a fox, dude. But his struggles continue. They brought up Miguel Vargas, who hit a home run in this series, but his average is still low. But I like the energy that he's bringing back on the team. Lux, I feel like slowly is starting to show some signs of life. He looks like he's kind of settled in a little bit in his role, as well as, you know, kind of taking time off and coming back in, having some competitive at bats. I know the average is still low, but he's over 200 now, over that Mendoza line, and it is going up. So that's a little silver lining, right? Oh, not to mention Hayward. Man, when he's getting a hold of the ball, he's sending them far, huh? Like,
yeah,
dude, he looks insane when he makes contact and still plays insane defense. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't have big concerns, but that lineup can get a little short. It feels like if Hernandez, if Teoscar is struggling a little bit, Muncy's got an injury, feels like he can almost get around the big 3, right?
I kind of feel like Muncy's injury. Yeah, I feel like Muncy's injury kind of shined a light on it a little bit because the struggles did start to happen a little bit once Muncy went down. But I do think Hayward makes a difference because he just has quality at bats, quality
Yeah.
contact. Not gonna like light up the stat sheet necessarily, but just solid, consistent production. I thought Glasnow was really good in game one. He had some control issues, but then for the most part, he was great. I think the bullpen was awesome in the series. I think Blake Trinan is making a big difference. I just can't really
Oh
judge
yeah.
this team too much until we have fully loaded pen with Trinan and Gratterall and Evan Phillips. Two of those guys are injured right now, so we don't even have two of our best relievers,
Yeah.
and we don't have Muncy. We're probably going to be trading Luck, so we're probably going to be moving on from him. CT3, if he keeps doing this, I can't imagine he's going to be getting big time, playing time later in the year. So
Yeah.
I still think that this team is an incomplete product. And I think that considering where we are, like what is it, 5.5, 6 up in the division right now,
Yeah.
and being an incomplete product, I think that as a Dodger fan, I'd sound ridiculous to be complaining right now. I would just sound ridiculous. Like we're in great shape. Let's see where we're at when we have a fully loaded bullpen, when we have when we figure out who that 6th spot in the lineup is going to be, that 7th spot in the lineup is going to be. Because I think that once you figure that out, the team just naturally gets better. But man, I mean, if you're a team that's looking to really get off the schneid, the New York Mets is the team to play right now because they
Oh my
were a
goodness gracious.
total dumpster fire. It was hard to watch that team. They just fell apart today. They really did. Like as a team, like it just felt like they truly hit rock bottom as a team and as a franchise. Um, I didn't actually watch the game. I saw the highlights. Maybe you might have watched it, so maybe you could give a little bit of insight into how things went wrong. But Jorge Lopez kind of was emblematic of the downfall of the 2024 Mets.
So I was listening to the game on my drive home on my way to pick up my daughter from grandma's house, and I caught the big inning, and I saw him come in and give up just an absolute fucking nuke to Shohei. Opposite field, left center, deep, and he was pissed. Lopez was pissed. It was a rough inning. I think the Dodgers go up. I think at the top of the inning, I think it was tied 3-3, and Mets just came back, and maybe it was 4-3. I'm not sure, but yeah. Oh my god, it ends up being like 7-3 at the end of the inning, and Freddie comes up and he throws behind him. He's got some kind of little bit of issue, but there's a pitch where they check down to third, and it's called no swing. And
It was not a swing, by the way.
yeah, he starts chirping to the third base
Clearly not a
umpire.
swing. Yeah.
It was clearly not a swing, but he
Yeah.
is. It looks to me just literally, like you said, just having a meltdown. It just looks like a guy who maybe knew he was on the line anyways and needed a good series. And I maybe could you pull up his stats from the series? I believe the Dodgers did hit him around a little bit. I feel like I saw him in all 3 games.
Well,
Maybe
I think you're right. His career might have been on the line in this series a little bit. You might be right about that. Today he a third of an inning, 2 runs, 2 hits and a walk. Let's see, game 2. I don't know if he pitched which game he pitched. If he pitched back-to-back games, did not pitch game 2, game 1, box score. Yeah, 1 inning, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned in game 1, and he took the loss in game 1 too. So he was the guy in extra innings who gave up the
yeah.
game. So yeah, you're right. It's like I think he just like he saw it all, but he only has a 3.12 ERA on the year, by the way.
Yeah, and I think he'd only given up like 2 homers in the year before that, before the Shohei blast. But he throws his glove off into the crowd. I saw a good
376
picture.
now. Sorry, now it's a 376.
Still not terrible. Throws his glove into the crowd, pulls off his jersey. I mean, he was the third base ump too, like screaming at him. It was intense. I can't wait to see the freaking the breakdown on John Boy, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a good one. But did you check the highlight? Not the highlight. Just check the clip of his post game interview and what looks like is the final nail in the coffin in his DFA as a New York Met.
Which parts? Him saying he didn't regret it, or him saying he plays for the worst team in baseball, or both?
Well, I think we got to go in order, right? Because there was some confusion. Did he say that I think I've been on the worst team in probably the whole fucking MLB? Or did he say that he's been a terrible teammate? Because I heard people arguing that, and it did kind of sound like that. Like, he's got a heavy Latin accent, it's a Spanish accent.
I'm going to listen to it right now.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear now.
Sorry. He says, I think I've been looking the worst team in the whole fucking MLB. I don't think he said teammate. I said, I think I've been on the worst team in the whole fucking MLB.
Yeah, so
that's what it sounds like he says. I know it does sound a little bit like teammate, but I think he says I'm on the worst team in MLB.
I know that he did double down afterwards and was asked to clarify, and he said both, that he has been a bad teammate, but that he also was on the worst fucking team in the MLB. So Mets fans, my God.
Rough. I actually have some text messages I'd like to share from Mets fans. I'm not going to name any names, but just from I had a Mets fan who texted me yesterday when the Mets were up 2-0. A girl that we went up to Palm Springs with. She's a friend of ours. And she wanted to make a bet that if the Mets could take 2 of 3, I would have to wear some Mets apparel at the next party that we went to. So I said, okay, sure. That sounds like fun. Yeah, let's play along. Because Glass now had given up a couple of runs. So I think she was getting a little cocky.
Yeah.
Dodgers come back and win. But when I said, she says, I deserve it. Because I said I should have doubled down on this and made this, you'd gone for the sweep. I should have doubled down. The Dodgers go for the sweep, add a little extra spice to this bet. She says, I deserve it. Lopez got himself thrown out of the game so he didn't have to face another fucking batter. So he gave up. And I think that she kind of doesn't blame him. It sounds like a little bit like, just get me out of here. And I
don't want to have to throw another pitch to Freddie Freeman.
And then he also, another friend of mine said, Mets are in shambles. Thank you for taking Alonso out. So he's blaming us for Alonso.
Come on.
Yeah. So
it's sort of split in Mets land, I guess.
There's some Mets fans who are like, we're just like, we deserve it. And then there are Mets fans who are just want to take it out on the Dodgers because they hate the fact that we got Yamamoto and they didn't. You know what I mean? So that's where they're at, man. They are not in a good place. I will say this about the Mets. I actually don't think that the future is all that dim for the Mets. I think that they have a great owner who's willing to spend money, willing to offer Yamamoto $325 million and match the Dodgers offer. If you have that and you have Kodai Senga already, who's having some trouble getting healthy from his rehab, I think that if you lose Alonso, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think they should just trade him and they should retool. And I think that they have an owner who's willing to spend and they can put money into their player development and drafting. Maybe they can poach some guys from the Braves and the Dodgers to come to the Mets, some front office people and build out their player development. I think the Mets are gonna be okay.
Who knows, Jesse? Maybe this is all just the footnote to the Mets 2024 World Series championship.
Okay.
Highlight reel. I don't know. Who knows?
This is where we end the episode.
But real quick, Jesse, just before we move on, because Jorge Lopez just did have a all-time bad day. at the office, right?
He had a Bauer moment. He threw the ball in the stands like Bauer. He threw his glove in the fucking stands, like it just lost it.
Help me with his name. The pitcher that was having control issues that Dave Roberts went and talked to the other game very recently.
It wasn't Eliezer, was it? Eliezer Hernandez? No.
I think it might have been. No, it wasn't. It was he had started a game the other day.
Hold on. I have it. It's Johan Ramirez.
Johan Ramirez, that's right. So goes out, puts his arms around him for those unfamiliar, and sounds like he has some heartfelt words for him. I think there is real audio out there. I'm not sure. I haven't heard it yet, but it just made me think about kind of visiting your pitcher before you get out there. You know, you already see that he's been barking with the third base umpire from a previous play. I don't know. I don't know. It just kind of makes me think about the psyche of a lot of these players. You know, it's tough being in the big leagues, and when things aren't working, it's got to be even more tough. And then to think that your job has got to be on the line, like, I don't know. I'm not excusing his attitude, but what I'm trying to highlight is, man, there's some different styles of management out there, and I don't know. Stoked on Dave Roberts.
Yeah, I agree with that. Say what
you will about him, but yeah,
I agree with that. But I will say this: Jorge Lopez made $3.5 million this year, where Johan Ramirez is making $700,000 this year, and Jorge Lopez has had a pretty successful major league career. He's been around for a while. He's made some money. Johan has not.
True.
So, you know, I think that Jorge could have handled himself better without the help of a coach. I know what you're saying, but you gotta be professional, man. Like, you know, just because you're on a bad team, like, you're a trade candidate. You can go to a good team.
Yeah.
Just play well and act professional, and you can get traded to a good fucking team. Don't be a jackass. Like, now nobody's going to want you because you look like a diva who can't handle it when things go wrong. You know when things go wrong? Fucking October, when teams really need you, you dumb shit. That's when you should have, you know, it's like just stupid. It just looks like kind of like a petulant child to me.
You know what I think, dude? Huh. I think Jorge Lopez gets picked up by the fucking Padres.
Oh, you know what I was thinking too? He probably actually like is gonna fucking. This is the best attention Jorge Lopez has gotten on himself all year. People are gonna look at him like, oh, what a jackass, what a dipshit. He gave up 5 runs the last 2 games. He acted like a baby. And it's like, he gave up 5 runs in a third inning and a third, and his ERA is only a 3.7. Oh, right? He's actually pitching pretty well. We should let's take a look at this. And then all of a sudden he's gonna have a job. Yeah. Maybe this is the best thing for him. Maybe this is the conspiracy. He did this on purpose to draw attention to himself and get a new team.
He's Tommy Phamming it. I get it. He's Tommy Phamming it. He didn't have anybody to smack, so he throws the glove, flips out, gets his water cooler moment. And then he's going to get traded to a contender, and you know, we're going to fall in love with him.
He's not getting traded. He got DFA'd. He's going to get picked up by somebody.
That's what I meant to say.
He cost the draft. He cost the Mets trade capital, to be honest, prospect capital. But
that's never good.
Anyways, this has been a fun episode. It's getting late. You got to get back to the missus, get back to the kid. But this was fun. This was a good one.
This was a blast. If you're gonna like and subscribe, dude, to Deferred Collusion, give me a hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, and let us know in the for YouTube subscribers. Let us know in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that all of the America that doesn't like the Josh Gibson being the batting average leader are a bunch of racists, or do they have a point? Let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments.
Really trying to check out both sides on this one before I make up my mind.
Do your own research before you answer this question. All right.
All right,
Brando. Jesse, love you, buddy.
It's a blast as always. Love you, dude. Deferred Collusion out of here.
Peace.